welcome to the Women's Broadcast Television Network, WBTVN Spotlight Show. Today we have a special guest from the Netherlands. Her name is Anna Goncalves. Thank you for joining us, Anna.
Hello, Jane. It's really lovely to be here. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
For having me on the show.
Yes. Well, Anna, everybody's a spiritual counselor and coach. She supports clients in connecting with their inner wisdom and experience deep healing and consciousness shifts to get them back in touch with their power. Interesting. So we have a lot to talk about today. And I'm not sure everyone really understands what a spiritual coach is and why you would do that and what your inner feelings are. But before we get into that, I know everyone's curious about your story. How did you even get to be in this position of a spiritual coach?
I'd love to share. Well, first of all, I'd like to share a little bit of background and where I grew up, and that's led me up until now. I was actually born in Portugal, and I lived in a small knitted community, and I would always be attracted to animals and communicate with them, and also connected to all the energies around me and nature. So that's really where I started connecting with my intuition and my spirit. And then later I moved to England at about 9. And so because I was an only child, the only way I would connect with myself was to journal and to connect with the animals. And that's where I started connecting with myself. And then because I was an only child, I became quite isolated and quite depressed and feeling like I didn't belong, because I felt very lonely, and because I was always connecting with animals, I didn't really feel like I fitted in. I could relate to adults and only children, and being in that situation led me to get quite heavily depressed and start cutting myself, because I didn't feel like I belonged here. I felt like there was something wrong with me, and my parents didn't really understand who I was and would think that I was crazy, because I used to see energies around me, and I would point out those energies to my parents, and they didn't really understand that. So I just kept to myself. And it was when I was 15 and I was cutting my arm that it occurred to me, what am I doing? I am life itself. At that moment, obviously, I was still very young and I didn't really feel like I belonged, but there was this awakening in me that realized that we are all here for a divine plan. We all have a purpose. And I realized I'm here to be myself and to share my gifts. And so from then on, I just continued focusing on the connection with myself and bringing myself back into myself by connecting with my spirit. And all the messages around me that I had were to love myself and just have faith that everything will work out and it will bring you exactly where you need to be. And those messages to me came from spirit, from nature, from animals, from everything around me supporting me. And I continued to believe in those messages, because it was the only way that I could really support myself, the only way that I could bring myself back into the present moment. And over the years, I've always had a lot of issues. Especially I had low self-esteem because I didn't really felt like I fitted in. But coming back to myself in that way made me realize, actually, I am here for a purpose and there's a bigger reason why I'm here. And if I just continue listening to myself instead of paying too much attention to other people and what they're doing, because I easily sidetracked myself, and people used to say that I was weird and really not very encouraging and supportive to me. So I had to learn myself to connect to myself and love myself for who I am and begin that journey myself, to realize that I do have something to share and I can help people. And that's actually led me to where I am now. So I continue to follow my passions, what really lit me up. And that was painting and volunteering, just really being around people in nature, doing things I was passionate about. Causes that I was involved with were to do with trees and nature and more humanitarian projects. So I always like to just help people in general and help the planet just by being myself and sharing my gifts. And I never really knew how that would look like into a career, because there wasn't really anything that involved being myself and sharing my gifts. But I just kept going, and it eventually led me to a spiritual counseling diploma, where I discovered this is it, this is who I really am. It was more of a self discovery journey rather than, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. That didn't occur to me. So through that, I awakened more of my gifts, and I was able to see that I can actually help people using my gifts. And this was part of my purpose, to share who I am and to share the messages that came through me, to be of highest good to other people in that way.
That is beautiful. I mean, it's, I'm speechless, because I had no idea that that's your backstory. And I have 13 and 11-year-old boys. And so, you all parents, I think, should be cognizant of when their children come to them, pay attention to them, listen to them. Don't just shrug it off because of your own beliefs. I know I've had my child come up to me and say some things, and I'm supportive because I'm very open and very spiritual. But I know there's a lot of parents who aren't, and I just kind of wanted to dive back into that, because it's so important, moms and dads out there watching this, that if your child needs you, no matter what they say, sit down and talk and listen. And don't shrug it off because of your own beliefs. Listen to them, be an open person, because what happens is that's exactly what happens. If you're not going to listen, they're going to either shut down, or they're going to find someone else who does listen, and you're going to lose them. And so it's serious. And so I just, I'm glad you told us some of your backstory, because I think that's so important. And that nugget, I know there was so much in there. But I'm really glad that too, at 15 is a very young age to have that realization. And being self-actualized at that age is very rare. And so I commend you on realizing that, using your strengths to build yourself out of that. If you're, if there's a college-aged girl out there right now, or even younger, or even older, that is feeling like that depression because you felt that, that's why you were cutting yourself. And if there's people out there cutting, and it can be something else, it could be drugs, it could be whatever, that you're reaching out for some sort of change, or I'm not sure, because I've never had that situation with cutting. But if there's someone in that situation, what are a couple steps that you could give them right now to help them realize what you realized?
I think the first thing is to be gentle on yourself, and to know that there isn't anything wrong with you. Because I know from experience, I felt like all the messages that I was getting, it was that there was something wrong with me. And so I started to think that I needed to shift and change something about me, and feel really guilty and bad on myself. And, the realization to know is, there isn't anything wrong with you. What people think of you, it has nothing to do with you. It's got, to do with them. It's their stuff. So when you're in that experience, just really be gentle on yourself. And one of the ways to do something about that is to pay attention to how you're feeling and the thoughts that you're having. If you're having thoughts about, you about you want to, like beat yourself up, because I noticed that for me, I used to beat myself up quite a lot, and those thoughts used to drag me down. And when you're paying attention to the thoughts and being aware of them, and just know that they are there, and you don't have to do anything about them, just by observing them, and even writing them down. Write down your thoughts. That was actually one of the steps that really huge to help me, by just dumping all of my thoughts on a piece of paper. It just made me realize that it was not me. So if you're having any of these thoughts, start writing everything down. It just really takes the weight off your shoulders, and you start to see, this is actually not you. So be gentle by becoming aware of your thoughts, and they are there, but they are not you. And then just share everything onto paper and journal. Find a way to express yourself in the way that is healthy and safe, and even doing something that you really, really like. That usually is a great way to express yourself and to really get back in touch with yourself, something that really lights you up. It doesn't really have to be a big thing. Just a little thing. If that's taking a walk, or just watching something that you really, really love, just have that time for you to focus on really lighting up yourself in that moment. And sometimes, we need to take ourselves out of that experience to go do something entirely different. And you're not avoiding the experience. It's just that it will bring you back in touch with yourself when you do something that brings you joy.
Wow, what great advice. You're amazing. So now, I want to kind of move on into your work now. And we were talking before the interview started just about intuitive coaches, spiritual coaches. A lot of people go, oh, why would I want that? Will it help my business? Will it help my mental capacity? What will it help? And so tell everybody that's watching right now, what do you do? What is your core business, and how do you help people?
So what I do is I use my intuition. So what is of the highest for the client. So how I do that is by putting me aside and using spirit to help someone that is it, either if they have a business. At the moment, I tend to work with heart-centered, sensitive entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And they happen to be female. They are having a really hard time to connect with their own intuition and clarity, and they're going through a lot of struggles. So usually I connect with them. So I put me aside and I ask spirit to come through me and to support the individual and what they need most right now. And it's not about me, it's completely about them. And so using a different range of techniques, again, this is very intuitive to what they are most aligned with, and it's not to do with me, and it's what they most need. And then using a technique that is in most alignment with them, we get to the core of what it is that they need healing, or what it is that they need to work on, so that that struggle, what they are currently going through, can be brought to light. And it's not about removing it, it's about bringing it to light so that they can become conscious and aware and at peace with themselves through the experience.
That is amazing. So, a lot of people go, not me, of course, because, I'm very spiritual. I love intuitives. But there are people out there that say, what is that? How do you, what is intuitiveness? And so can you explain that a little bit? It's not hokey wokey. It's actually who, if you're spiritual and you're a Christian, I always tell people you want to go to an intuitive, because they're hearing from, not just themselves, but they, like you said, you put yourself aside. So tell everybody, what is an intuitive coach?
Great question. I really believe an intuitive person, or anyone that is working as an intuitive coach, is really connected to themselves and the higher powers. So being connected is being grounded to the earth and being connected to the universe, and really connected to their hearts, to their light within themselves. And it's not about the ego, it's just really having this knowing of who and what they are inside, and having that trust that there is something greater than themselves, and having access to them, to their hearts, and knowing that this wisdom is within us all. We are really all intuitive, and sometimes we don't actually have access to that, or we don't know how to access that. It's really feeling our hearts in really all our fullness, and having a way to make contact with that truth inside of ourselves. And we all get those nudges, or sometimes we even get the strong message in our mind to go one way instead of the other. And most of these messages are always of the highest good. They're always positive. They're always there to support us. And sometimes it's hard to distinguish with what's our ego and what is intuition. And one of the ways is you'll know because you'll feel lighter, and like someone is supporting you, almost like someone's on your back, really leading you the way. It's really, really a lightness about it, a very supportive, graceful, nurturing feeling that you get. And one of the ways to connect, to your intuition, or to find out, to get that access, is really to place your hands on your heart and to feel your heart, and to ask yourself, what is the most important message that I need to know right now? And just feel your heart. And when you receive a message, just allow it to come through. Just be open to receive. And sometimes it doesn't come automatically. Just pay attention throughout your day, and you will see that the message will come to you. So it's about being open and connected, and to know that you are more than just this body, that you are connected to the universal flow of life.
Yeah, and going back to what you said with when you work with people, because it's such an individual process, everyone's results are probably different, because all of us have our own life path and all of us have our own passions. And so you use techniques to work with people just to draw that out and then help them using your intuitiveness to help them, and individually, because not all of us need the same thing. Success means different things to everybody. Parenting means different things to everybody. I mean, it's just like you pick something, right? We all have our own opinions. But so your clients would come to you at Anna P. Goncalves. Can you spell that for everyone? And it's also below on your screen if you're watching on video. But for audio, tell people your website.
Absolutely. It's www.ANAPGONCALVES.com.
And Anna, do you work with people? I know you're in the Netherlands, and we are, WBTVN's global, but do you work with people across the United States? Do you work via phone or Skype? Or?
Yes, I work internationally over Skype.
Okay.
All different countries, all walks of life. I'm quite open to work. That's actually the only way that I work, from all over the world.
Oh, that's fantastic.
By Skype. Or instant teleconference if the person doesn't have Skype. So it's really what
Either
has
one, I
been.
love technology, don't you?
Yes, it's really amazing bringing all of us together in such a way. It's really powerful.
We're able to use it for the good and helping each other. And so, I'm glad that we're able to connect. You mentioned earlier, I think it's real important too, before we leave, because, you're working with entrepreneurs. Because I have a television station, I've worked with entrepreneurs for a while. What I have noticed is that the reason their business isn't growing is it is almost a mindset thing. It's something deep in them that something's going on, because I've talked to people 4 or 5 years in business. I consciously make my decisions. And I consciously quit my job in corporate to be home with my kids. I consciously didn't grow my business at first because I wanted to be home with my kids. So everything I do is conscious. But what I've noticed is when I talk to people, they're in business 5 years and still where they were, and they don't know why. And, so I would love for you to expand a little bit more about how you work with entrepreneurs, because having a mindset really does get you stuck. And how does an intuitive coach, if you hire you, how would you help an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. So the first thing is that most entrepreneurs that actually come to me, interestingly enough, come to me because of money. They don't have any money, or they keep thinking that there's something wrong with them. And always the case, it's never about money. There is always a deeper issue underneath that leads them to the root issue of something that happened to them in childhood or in the past life, and it's coming up to be looked at and addressed and healed. And so we always go to the root cause of that memory. So intuitively, what needs to be addressed comes up, and that memory, that experience, leads them to realize the actual blocks that they've been having is actually the healing that they need. Something that has been preventing them from going forward is now giving them access to heal on the deeper level, to really come to face with what they haven't resolved in the past. And it actually leads them to then open up and come back in touch with themselves and their own power and their own answers. So then always immediately they start making money, or something usually results in them really having exactly what they need, because that issue is resolved. So that's how I would
That's
work with a client.
beautiful.
But it always seems to be the case that they come to me with a certain issue or something that they really want, and then we go to the core and find the memory or the experience that almost it kind of blocked them, or they didn't really address, and then it comes up to light to be cleared or looked at, and then it's always the answer that they need to go on to the next step in their life. And it really is just a huge awakening, just amazing to see them
Yeah.
completely shift from being stuck and then open and living out what they're really called to do, or make money straight away. And it's amazing because all of a sudden they just go out and take the action, or an opportunity arises that leads them onto the next amazing opportunity. And it's just really incredible. I
Yes.
just have no words.
And it's good for you too. You see your healing power and your intuitiveness working, right? Intuition working for them to be able to move on with their lives. And then you're like, next, I'm open, whatever, whoever you're going to bring next. I think that's fascinating, because the reason I wanted to bring that up is because I do talk to a lot of people who hire these $20,000 a month weekend coaches to go on a retreat for 5 days to learn, to help them in their business with marketing. And they spend all this money. But it comes down to, if you were to coach with someone like you, unblock yourself, then let yourself be, and let the universe and energy and God bring people to you that are just going to open up doors you never imagined. So I think it's real important for any woman entrepreneur out there that feels stuck, or any college kid that doesn't know, what their next step is. Any woman out there that feels, that what's going on. I would suggest you call Anna or go to her website, Anna P. Goncalves. Okay, so I said it really good when we started. AnnaPGoncalves.com, and you see it below us. But I would suggest you go out there and just kind of explore before you start spending any more money on marketing, any more money on SEO, any more money on things that you're still going to just waste. I mean, I say waste your money, because really get to the root of what's going on. Build your business on your passion and your expertise, and get out of those blocks and become who you were meant to be in life. And so, Anna, I'm a big proponent of what you do. I believe in you, and I've seen everything come into fruition from people you've worked with. So I really appreciate you taking the time today and coming online and just speaking with the women of Women's Broadcast Television Network. One more time, just tell them how they can contact you, not only by your website. Is there any other way? Facebook, your Facebook group, or?
Thank you so much. First of all, I'm really, really glad that I came on, and I really give thanks to you for having me on the show. You can go to my website, which I've mentioned. I'll share it again. It's www.anapgoncalves.com, or you can check out my website. My Facebook address, which is, I believe, facebook.com, and then it's /Miraculous Lives. So that's MIRA CULOUS LIVES. And you can also email me. I don't know whether sharing my email is.
Yeah, go. Yes.
Fine.
Yes,
is it okay? Okay. It's ANAGONCALVESCOULCACH@gmail.com. That was a bit
awesome. Oh, we really appreciate you being on, and we'll really have you on again, and would love to talk to you more in depth about maybe have a client on and just kind of talk about building your business, intuitiveness. And so thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being a guest today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Bye.